Ben, Tanner, hey, congratulations on this new documentary, Standout, the Ben Kjar Story.
Thank you, man. We are so excited to be here at Slamdance and to be able to have an audience watch it and get the reaction to it. It's been a long time coming, and we're super proud of it.
Everyone's proud of this too. How do you feel about this, Ben, that is being showcased at Slam Dance?
I feel awesome, man. I mean, this is a huge, huge opportunity. Coming to Hollywood and being amongst the stars, having Tanner being the director. I mean, this is huge, man. I got people from all over the country coming out. We sold it out, coming right out to the gate. Guys, we're stoked.
Most excellent, most excellent. I've watched this documentary, and I don't know why I was getting teary-eyed throughout this film. So well done. But Tanner, I'm going to throw the first question over to you. How did this project actually came about to you?
That's a good question. It's been a long time coming. I have known Ben or been aware of Ben since I was a kid. We both grew up in the same small town in Utah, and there was a time very early on where my dad, who was a producer on this film and is also a filmmaker. I mean, I my one of my first memories of Ben is seeing him at a rec basketball game, and my dad being like, "Look at that kid! That kid's a walking movie." And man, we ever since that moment, that was 30 years ago, we've had that in the back of our mind. Man, we should keep an eye on that Ben and make sure, if somebody's going to make a movie about him, it's got to be us. And we are so just stoked that he bought in to our vision for it, and we were able to make this movie with him.
Ben, it sounded like it didn't need a lot of convincing to tell your story. Tell us about how you wanted this, movie to come to fruition because it's a topic that a lot of people, if they were in your situation, would not usually come out and talk about it.
You know what? And for a long time, I didn't want to talk about it. And that's just not about me. It's about everyone in the world with their own problems and their own mental illnesses. And I want to tell you, it's a huge thing now. It's a huge buzzword, mental health. And we get to put ourselves out there in the sense to become healed. I tell you what, man, there's so much healing that's going to go on because of this movie, because of this film, and how Tanner and TC and Jared Hessen, these people were able to put this together. The person in the seat, I don't care what age you are. If you're in elementary, we've had people from elementary to people with walkers coming in with, barely able to walk as grandparents. They are being able to be touched. And everybody from every demographic, from every area, and from every walk of life are able to find something within themselves and their own life that they can choose to stand out about. And so I think that's the biggest thing that we want to express to people is like, hey, everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own opportunity to stand out in life and realize they were born to stand out. We weren't born to be normal, and they're going to have an opportunity to fill that in this film.
Well said. And Ben, for those people who don't know, can you actually define the Crouzon syndrome that a lot of people some people out there are still unaware about?
Absolutely. Crouzon syndrome is a facial difference. At the end of the day, it makes your face look different. The mid part of my face doesn't grow at the same speed as the rest of my skull, and other parts of my head would be shaped a little bit different. At certain ages in my life, and Tanner depicts this so well in the film, I would have a trach in my throat to help me function. I would have They would cut my head open from ear to ear. I would be swollen up, huge, wouldn't even be able to open my eyes. They would wire my mouth shut. I would be under the knife in these surgeries for 12 to 14 hours. And my parents would come in, they're like, how is this boy going to function normal? Well, I didn't function normal for a lot of the time. And so it would affect the way I would live. breathe, eat. But a lot of the times, more than anything, those would be healed physically. It would be the emotional side, the mental side that would really be the journey. And the journey's depicted in the movie and the film Standout. How everybody wants to know the story, right? They want to know the hero's journey. They want to know how this little kid, this Crouzon kid, garnered a world championship. And Tanner tells that story from being horrible at wrestling to one day having the flag raised up on the podium and singing the national anthem. He depicts the entire journey of how that happens. That's the secret formula people want to know about.
Well, then I guess the ball is to you, Tanner. Tell us about this process of, narrating this story, because, in either case, it really felt like I was watching a biographical movie.
Well, that's great. Thank you for that. I think one of the main things that made this movie possible was how amazing the Cares family, especially Scott and Stan, the parents, that they had all this amazing footage that they shot of their kids. So when we're telling this story, you get to see you actually see Ben going through these moments. And this was this is in the 90s. Not everybody's carrying around, a phone, and with a camera always accessible. But they were lugging around their VHS camera or whatever, like just warriors. And we are so happy that they did, because it really, it brought an authenticity to this film, to this story, that people can feel. You watch it and it's like you know what Ben was experiencing, because you see it. You see the actual things he's going through. So anyway, I got to tip my hat to the Cares and their cinematography skills. They were a huge blessing to us.
Tanner, could you also address the recreation of some scenes with actors in this case?
Absolutely. So we knew there just was naturally going to be a couple scenes that we just would not have footage of, especially, and a lot of them were like some really hard moments that Ben went through in his life, and we knew we wanted to somehow depict those visually. And man, we were really worried about it. We were worried, how are we going to do that and not be, we don't want it to be cheesy or hokey or whatever. And we knew really what it was going to come down to is who is going to play young Ben. And we had the hardest time trying to find an actor for you, because we wanted someone with Crouzon syndrome. We wanted someone that looked like Ben, and had blonde hair, a young boy. That's pretty rare. They're not around. Like, this is a rare condition. And we looked for a good 6 months. We had help from the Children's Craniofacial Association, which helps families with these facial differences. Couldn't find anyone. Miraculously, Ben got a phone call just a few months before we were going to start filming, from a family that just wanted to meet him. They had a kid 5 years old with Crouzon syndrome, looked and acted just like a young Ben. It was perfect, and we are so just grateful for the Fieldings, for Colton Fielding, and the amazing performance he put in this film. It wouldn't be nearly what it is without him. And I mean, what a stud to be 5 years old and putting himself out there with Crouzon syndrome for the world to see. Just an amazing story in and of itself.
That is very amazing, Ben. The story about overcoming adversities, especially during your young childhood, and having this boy replay your childhood, was that tough to watch, or was it, flooding back all these memories to you? Because I know you probably didn't watch it once; you probably watched it several times, especially with your family.
Oh my gosh, we've watched it countless times. It's really hard to watch. You know what? When Tanner came to me, he said, "Hey Ben, we're going to tell your story. I'm going to really invite you to open up your heart and your mind and try to see if you can recall some of these things. That was hard. It was hard to be able to dive into that, but it was so healing bringing it to life to hopefully touch hearts and minds and souls of people that are watching. And I tell you what, as I sat there and realized what I came through, it's because my parents didn't coddle me. They cuddled with me a lot. They cuddled with me and his parents. Okay, are you a parent? You have kids?
No, I don't. No, I do not.
So you can imagine the kids across the world, if they're going through a hard time, if you coddle them and you wrap them in bubble wrap and you say, don't go outside anymore, don't let anybody see your face, Ben. I don't want you to get hurt again. That solves nothing. But because my parents came to me and they cuddled me, they loved me, but they didn't coddle me. They said, get back up, look at yourself in the mirror. In those dark moments, they reframed who I was. And they said, Ben, you, you're right, you're different. So we get to make a difference. There's going to be times where literally you're going to get some attention you don't want. And guess what? In those moments, I'm going to invite you to stand out. Don't hide. Don't be normal. Be absolutely extraordinary and stand out. And I tell you what, they were hard to watch, but they were also the birth to who I became. My parents stood me up, allowed me to realize who I was born to be, meant to be, and that was to be here today, brother. We're in Hollywood. We're talking with stars like you, and Tanner is absolutely like been so good to work with. This is the beginning of the journey of what he's going to be doing. And like, I'm so excited to share this with the world in all different languages. And so we can touch every little person out there, every mom out there, every grandma out there that has ever doubted, that has ever wished they could be normal, that has ever wished they could be somebody else's version 2.0. But in the real reason and the real purpose behind this is to allow them to realize that they're born to be them. Their version number 1.0 in the top potential them, and so they can choose to stand out.
Tanner, what I love about this movie, it did feel like a sports movie, especially the fact of the wrestling scenes. Tell us how you wanted to handle that, because more a little bit later, I mean, it had the same formula as a Prime Video film that we all are familiar with Unstoppable. So, so tell us about how you wanted to handle Ben's journey in this case.
Yeah, well, that I thought that honestly that this, even though this is it can be classified as a sports film, we knew that like really the sports was just going to be a vehicle to express like Ben's growth, Ben's change, and Ben, like the things he went through. It's so in a sense it's a sports film, but man, it's more than that. It's a love story, and it's really about somebody overcoming their challenges. He happens to do it through wrestling. Well, I mean, one of the major things that interested me at the very beginning was finding out that Ben wrestled Anthony Robles for like in the NCAA championships. Like his journey goes straight through this other guy that's also dealing with very similar but very different challenges of his own. I don't think Hollywood wouldn't write a story like this with these two guys meeting up in this improbable. I don't think people would buy it. People wouldn't think, like, there's no way that could really happen, but it did. It really did. These two amazing men, wrestled for everything in the NCAA championships, and we were like just so excited to be able to showcase that part of the story. We made sure I mean, we did all we could to get Anthony to be a part of our film, and he was so gracious to sit down with us and do an interview and be a part of this film because he was filming Unstoppable during that time when we were doing. I mean, we were making these films, you know. At the exact same time. So anyway, we're super grateful for him and his willingness to tell his story because it reflects so well what Ben went through. I don't know that you could have a more Hollywood-esque ending to Ben's story than wrestling up against Anthony Robles. It is just an incredible, incredible thing.
Yeah, when I was watching it, it was unbelievable to me too. And Ben, as a journalist, I have to ask that hard question. You may actually know what I'm asking about. Is of course you watched on Unstoppable. What did you think of the portrayal of that semifinal fight with Anthony Robles? But it didn't show the actor's face or anything properly in that scene.
Yeah, I understand what Anthony had to go through. Anthony's one of my heroes, man. I talked with him a couple weeks ago. He's a dear friend of mine. We connect because we've been through same things. You know what? He had an incredible film come out. And what I want to say is this, dude, I'm so dang proud of the guy. He has put himself out there. The best leaders in the world are leaders that have chosen to be vulnerable, and he's done that. And I tell you what, I don't think he had all the control in the world in his own film. Um, but I'm so glad it was told. I'm so glad his story was told. I'm so glad he's chosen to be open. I'm so glad he's opened himself to the world to be that person that people can sit down and say, hey, I connect with that guy. And that's our hope for this. And he was so kind to jump on this and be a part of it so that we can both go together and have these be legacies for us that long after we're gone, a person can sit in the seat no matter where they're from, no matter what hard time, whether they have one leg or a facial difference, or they just went through a divorce or a drug addiction, it doesn't matter. Everyone has the opportunity to hide and just be a victim or to be a victor and to absolutely stand out. Anthony chose to stand out. He's a dear friend and a hero of mine. And in this moment, we're choosing to do the same. And we're doing it here in Hollywood with Slamdance, baby. We're so excited. And we've teamed up with some incredible people like Emma. And we are so excited to be able to share this and have people be impacted by it.
Absolutely. And you guys did the right thing of showcasing Anthony in this story without hiding it. And hopefully down the road when they ever make a movie with you, Ben, they will properly do that scene justice. Now, one more thing, Tanner, tell us about showcasing Ben's family and love life in there. One of the things is that you didn't have to do that, go into that personal side, even though I felt very emotional, especially all those surprises. But tell us about the decision of including that into this film.
Yeah, no, I mean we felt from the very beginning that this was more than a sports movie, more than a wrestling movie, and one of the big parts of that was that not only was Ben able to overcome some of these personal challenges that he had, but he was able to then go on and be able to accomplish some of these goals that he had set from very early on. Like, I mean, he wanted to have a family, wanted to do those things, and it all happens in such an improbable way. We just thought it was like all so. I mean, it's so. How can you not tell that part of the story, right? Like, it was just there was so many twists and turns with the love story and being able to start a family and all those things like I mean, from the beginning, we just felt like, man, that is going to be a powerful depiction in the film, and we have to do that. We were, Ben. There were some hard moments, I think, for the family to have to talk about in that film, especially with his in-laws and stuff. I mean, there's tough moments in the film. I think because they all love Ben so much, they were willing to everybody was willing to put themselves out there and tell what happened, talk about it, and showcase everybody's growth that has happened because they all know and love Ben.
And Ben, with all these difficulties and challenges in your life, if you look back now and if one thing changed, would you change it today?
You know what? I'm here because of what I've been through. Um, of course, in the moment, you want things to be easier. Of course, in the moment of darkness and doubt and pain, you want that to go away. But I think it's like on the other side of that is where you find your growth. On the other side of that is where you find out what you can really get through. On the other side of that is where you realize, oh my gosh, I'm strong. I can do hard things. And so I believe every time we climb a mountain of doubt, fear, obstacle, whatever it is, we realize we can summit all those things. I know that because of what I've been through and because of what we're depicting in the movie, we're going to champion other people that are going through the same thing. And I don't care who you are. I don't care how happy you look from the outside. There were times in my life that I looked like the champion. I would looked like we're so happy. Where inside I was just felt like I was dying and miserable. That is so much of the population in the world today, my friend. And so if this can just touch and spark a little movement in those people that feel like they're dying inside because they're hiding something and they're not choosing to stand out in one way or another, then man, we've done it. If there's one person in one seat, in one theater, in one end of the world that comes out and chooses a different decision, then guess what? That's going to be a generational change. It's going to make a life impact for grandkids to come. And man, every single dollar, every single moment, every single depiction, every single hard time that I went through, that was dang worth it, baby. That was real worth it. And so, man, I wouldn't take it. As a matter of fact, going back, you think, what are the things I stayed away from because I was fearful? What would have happened if I would have just said no to fear? If I would have looked fear in the eye and spit twice, right? What would have happened? And so going forward, life's a little bit different. I look at life a little bit different that way, knowing that we can be a little bit excited going into those hard times, knowing that on this other side, we're going to be tougher because of it.
So true. Otherwise, we would not be doing this right now if we had to change anything. Everything has a purpose. So,
That's right,
gentlemen,
man.
yeah.
We wouldn't get to meet Gig. This would have been, man, it's a good thing Ben just did it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well said. Well, gentlemen, I've taken a lot of time, of course. Let me wrap it up with one last question. As audiences at Slamdance, one of the most prestigious film festivals around the world, will have a chance to watch this, and I certainly know this will go through more film festivals, and who knows, they'll watch it in certain avenues somehow. What is the one most important take you hope they walk away with after watching this documentary?
Ben,
Man,
I'll let you take that one, Ben.
okay, absolutely. It's just one thing and one thing. I'll tell you this. Life starts when you start living you, man. When I've decided to jump in and be me and have people like Tanner champion that and make me go all in with being Ben Kjar, that changes lives. When Tanner goes in like he's doing now and living him 100%, that changes lives. When Gig goes in and lives all Gig 1.0, not Bobby, Brandon, and Tommy version 2.0, like I dreamed that I wish I was growing up, that's different. And then when people realize that people love you because you're being and choosing to be your like genuine, most authentic version of you, that's when the world changes. That's when life changes. That's when fear isn't a part of us as much. That's when we love at like a massive, holistic, rad level. That's when that's when life becomes truly an opportunity where we choose to stand out. We don't hide anymore. We stand out and we step up and we shine a little bit different. And that's my goal. My goal is that when people come in, they walk out feeling if Ben can do it, then I can do it. And not only can I do it, I'm gonna do it. And this ticket that I just purchased of whatever the cost was a ticket to literally change not only my life, but everybody else's life. And they're gonna choose to go do it. And that's my hope. That's my hope. And I couldn't have done it without anybody. I couldn't have done it with without Tanner. Couldn't have done it without TC and with the people on board, man. We are just so stoked. And people like you allow us to shine the story Gig. I appreciate you, man.
No, it's not a problem. Tanner, thank you very much for bringing this story to life. And Ben, thank you for having the courage to actually tell this story because you inspired the world. So, gentlemen, have have fun at Slam Dance. I mean, it's going to be a great festival for the both of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Gig. We will, and we hope to talk again another time, man. It was great to meet you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, it's great to meet you both. Thank you very much. Bye now.
You're the man. Take care, Gig.